We're all guilty of judging media based on preconceived notions, others' opinions, or appearance. You know, factors that often sway us from exploring something that might initially pique our interests. This kind of generalization can prevent potential fans from diving into games that deserve their attention, for better or for worse. This phenomenon is something I've noticed with various game franchises, including the Mana series. While it may not dominate JRPG discussions as much as other series, the impact of these titles is undeniable. From Secret of Mana's profound influence on the genre to the underappreciated depth of Legend of Mana's world building, these games are cornerstones of the JRPG landscape. However, the lack of modern conversation about these games, coupled with the seemingly generic fantasy presentation, likely has led many to overlook Mana, relegating it to Square Enix's other series alongside Saga and Star Ocean. So, the announcement of Visions of Mana was significant, especially as the first new release in the series in nearly 15 years. Similar to how Saga fans reacted to the announcement of Saga Emerald Beyond, I was, and still am, surprised by the arrival of a new Mana entry. After fully experiencing this new adventure, I found that my expectations were mostly met, though some design choices could have used refinement.
Do you hear that?
Huh?
Look, there!
Visions of Mana excels in its setting. The world revolves around cyclical pilgrimages held every few years, with chosen individuals known as soul guards and alms. To maintain balance, the Mana goddess's representative named Fairy selects those capable of fulfilling these roles. Alms represent different elements and hail from various parts of the world, while soul guards protect them on their journey to the Mana Tree. However, these journeys conclude with the alms offering their souls to the goddess, ending their lives. In contrast, the soul guards live on to impart wisdom to future generations before eventually meeting their own end. This somber truth, revealed early on in the game's narrative, gives Visions of Mana a very unique tone, a disturbing yet contented atmosphere where the loss of life is seen as honorable and praiseworthy. This tonal disconnect between the game's world and the player is intentional and thought-provoking, especially when it comes to the protagonist, Val and Hina. Val is determined to become a soul guard before Hina is chosen as an alm, a role that means she'll eventually sacrifice her life. Despite the romantic chemistry, Val's inevitable fate of watching Hina walk to her death is initially not treated as tragic or unwelcome. The game's setting had me hooked for much of the playtime, and while I may be in the minority, I found Val and Hina's relationship very compelling even without many scenes showing their pasts together. The bond between them is already established and woven excellently into the narrative. At first glance, Visions of Mana looks like a typical action RPG, perhaps too similar to the Trials of Mana remake. However, in gameplay, it feels entirely different. The combat has a weight that is difficult to describe, but is best understood through play. It's firm yet floaty, requiring dedication to your combos due to the weight instilled in each action. You can cancel out at specific motions, and even in the air, the firm ground-based weight remains. It's as if there are two layers of the ground.
Yes! I'm unstoppable!
I've never really experienced an action system quite like this before, at least not in my memory. As you progress, these initially strange design choices begin to make sense. Every action, whether movement or attack, has dedicated lag windows that add depth and variety to the combat. The party AI is generally reliable, but you should probably customize their behaviors and adjust which skills are used based on the situation. Unfortunately, the demo that's available right now and the early chapters don't actually effectively communicate the depth of this combat system, as you lack the necessary tools rules for too long. One of my significant complaints is the gameplay pacing. The elemental vessels, which embody the game's job class systems, are obtained throughout the story. Each party member can equip one vessel at a time, and the same vessel can't be equipped by multiple members simultaneously. This system requires careful consideration to optimize your strategy. That said, initially, it seems simple to assign jobs based on default stats, but each job provides unique weapon choices and skill types. There is immense variety here, and you can spend a lot of time experimenting with different jobs to find the best fit for your playstyle. I fell in love with the customization, especially with the elemental plot skill tree. This menu contains nodes for every job, which individually upgrades for each party member. Elemental affinities are crucial as well, as techniques learned from the elemental plot can be used regardless of the equipped job. For example, Val can learn magic skills that coat weapons with a particular element usable with any job. However, the pacing is still problematic. You spend the early hours without any elemental vessels, leading to repetitive combat. Later on though, you obtain vessels rapidly, leaving little time to familiar yourself with each new job. This can make the game a little overwhelming, especially with the story pacing, and might cause players to lose interest before the combat system fully reveals its potential. Difficulty levels are available to address the issue though, including options for beginners. On the other hand, hard mode offers a significant challenge reminiscent of Kingdom Hearts critical modes or Final Fantasy VII Remake's hard mode. Expert mode, unlocked after completing the story, provides an even greater challenge depending on your previous playthrough. Those who stick with the game through its rough early pacing will find one of Square's best combat systems with exceptional customization and RPG elements. The side quests and Visions of Mana are generally worthwhile, offering rewards like ability seeds and currency. However, the approach to these tasks can be a little tedious. The side quests prioritize quantity over quality, focusing on item searching and monster slaying with quest markers to guide you. Unfortunately, you can only track one quest at a time, and fast travel is kind of cumbersome, requiring multiple steps that kind of add up over time. The monotony for these quests is a shame, as the side quests feature interesting character writing and dialogue, making them more than just filler content. The activities on the field are also noteworthy, with combat arena challenges and hidden collectibles like Little Cactus, a franchise mascot. These challenges and collectibles add depth to the exploration and encourage players to engage with the game's systems. The dungeons and fields are well designed, offering just enough optional material without feeling excessive. I should say that the game also performs pretty good on PS5 with consistent frame rate and gorgeous visuals. The soundtrack here is equally impressive, with memorable town and field themes that enhance the atmosphere.
Hey.
Let's go! Yes! Taking this?
After completing the final boss, a new post-game chapter unlocks on the same file. Surprisingly, this fully voice-acted scenario featured enhanced boss rematches and a new dungeon with a super boss, providing a satisfying challenge for players who just want more. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the series, sadly, Visions of Mana is not for everyone. Its combat is a departure from previous Mana games, establishing its distinct identity within the franchise. However, those who stick with it will find one of Square's best combat systems here, with deep customization options, variety, and RPG elements. The lore-heavy narrative becomes increasingly compelling thanks to its charming and multifaceted cast. With new Game Plus options and a new difficulty mode, Visions of Mana is a refreshing modern classic that can hook you for a gripping 60 to 70 hours. Noisy Pixel is giving Visions of Mana an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.